These are all the tools you're going to need to complete this project. You have your procedure, which you're going to use for taking off the headlights and everything you're going to need to do for this project, which you should always have a procedure so you know what you're doing so you don't screw up. This right here is your impact. This is not necessary. You can use your common hand tools like a ratchet. I'm going to use an impact because it's easier, and the bolts that are rusty, I can get them off quicker, which if you're not using that, you should always use penetrating fluid, but in my case, they were fine. You got your sockets, which will connect to your impact or your ratchet. A needle nose for getting the grill off. There's some clips, which you will see later in the video. And a flathead for all your screws. And for the clips for the cowl, which you will see later in the video. So we're starting to take off, this is called the cowl, to take off these headlights. To take off these, you can actually buy a tool to use these, but the best way is you just put this in here and pop them off like this. And once you get that part out, you take the center part out, and then you got the separated part. Now this part comes out separate. And then you have these two parts. And these two parts are all around here. Now once you have removed these pins from all these locations, this cowl will come off, and then you're ready to find the bolts for the headlights, which are instructed in your procedure. Now for this specific vehicle, you do have to take off the grill, and in your procedure it does show the bolts to take the grill off to get to the headlights, because there is a bolt behind the headlight to get that. So up top here, you're going to have to remove this screw, this screw, this screw, and this screw, and this should come undone. This is where your needle nose pliers come in. This clip right down here, right there. There's going to be a little pin right there on the top and bottom. You're going to use your needle nose pliers to pinch those pins, and then you should be able to remove the grill. Once you have removed those clips that I showed you to use with the needle nose pliers, your grill should come right off. There should be a clip in these 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. And some vehicles have them down here. It's where all these slots are at. Now you're going to look at your procedure. It shows you the headlights. There's 1, 2, and 3 points. It's going to be a 10 mil socket, as is the grill. You got 1 here, 1 there, and you have 1 down there. Now, these 2 top bolts, when you take them out, I've done these ahead of time. I will show you how to do them over here. But over here, and pretty sure the same thing over there, you gotta look at your procedure. Your 3rd bolt for this headlight is actually behind here, and you're gonna have to loosen some of these screws to access it. So after removing that bolt, you gotta remove this bolt, which, like that. So after removing that bolt, you gotta remove this bolt, which, like that. Once you have completed taking those bolts off, there is a bolt that is right back here, right there. That bolt right there, you don't have to completely undo it, you just loosen it. And this is where your ratchet comes into play, because you cannot fit a impact back. Also for this step, you should turn your wheel. You just get this back here and start ratcheting. It is actually easier if you have a ratchet wrench, but not everybody has a ratchet wrench set, so this will work for the time being. So use a ratchet wrench if you have one to get it off. Now that you have removed that bolt, your headlights should come straight out. Your headlights are going to come straight out, and when you do get them out, unplug your bulbs. Now it's very crucial that you're wearing gloves for the step after this, and I will tell you why. So when taking these off, make sure you know which plug goes where. That is very crucial, because you don't want the wrong bulb going off in the wrong time. When you take these bulbs out, it's a twist pull. These you want to be gentle with. You don't want to wreck them. This is very important. Now that it is removed, you want to be careful not to break these bulbs. And it's pretty easy to know which one goes where because of the wire lengths. The shorter one goes to the bottom one, your reds are your turn signals, orange, and your longer one goes to your high beams, or whatever, how far it is. So now we're going to take off the other side. But before I do that, I want to check the new headlights, which you guys will see, to make sure the fitment is correct. Check with your manufacturer and see if it fits your make and model. Now, you want to make sure these fit. These are the new headlights. Those are the old ones. I'm keeping the plastic on mine so I don't scratch them. But this is where you insert them into there. Make sure they fit, make sure they line up. Now you have test fitted to make sure that these fit. Turn on the vehicle, check your high beams, check your turn signals. Everything looks good. Bolt everything up and move on to the next light. Now that you have checked to make sure my high beam's on and my turn signals are on, these look brighter, but in person you can't really see these. It's sort of on-road difference, I was told, which you can't always believe what they say. That's why you always get the headlights to make sure you know what's. This is where you go in and you tighten that screw. If you would have loosened it, it would have been a lot harder to put the full screw in. That's why you loosen them, you don't take them out. Once you put them in, you put your 2 bolts in, and make sure everything lines up. Close your hood, check everything, and move on to the next light. Do make sure you're not over tightening these. These are just thin little threads, and they will strip out, and you have to replace them. Putting these bolts back in, just snug them up. With the impact, two little knocks or clicks. That's enough. The ratchet, just snug it up. Nothing too tight. You overdo it, you're going to mess up these, and then it's more money you have to spend. Now that you have both of those headlights on, which are really sweet, you are doing the same process of taking the grill off, but do that in reverse. Follow your procedures for help. The trick to get these pins back in is to get your centerpiece, take that out, and put this pin in, like this. And then you put your pins in, like this. And that's it. And you do that for all, and you got the front end done. Now to remove these taillights, it's simple as 2 bolts, screws. Pull it out. I will demonstrate that, and then I'll show you what bulbs I am actually replacing on these taillights. After you have removed those 2 screws, these should come straight out. There's 2 pins, you pull it out, and you just disconnect your bulb. Now for these taillights, the reverse lights, which are your center bulb, I will be replacing with LEDs. LEDs will be on this truck soon. I'm just slowly going over to LEDs because of price. Now that you have installed your lights on this side, I just did that one. These are my replacement reverse bulbs, so I can get pretty bright angles when backing up. When installing these new lights, these lights only have 1 singular wire. This goes into the bottom socket. This makes your brake light and everything else work, as I will show. When taking these bulbs out, it's the same thing as the front. Twist and pull out. For these new taillights, that socket I showed you, you're going to use this socket right here. It depends on your vehicle, but I'm using this socket, and that way it works with your brakes. I have put the reverse bulb in down there, and the shortest length bulb, which would be right here, that's where this goes into there. And lastly, you take your screws and you screw them in. And lastly, you take your screws and you screw them in. And when you have them all installed, they look good. This is Dawson, and this was how to put new headlights and taillights in your truck.